Determining the correct conduit size for a specific number of conductors is a crucial aspect of electrical installations. This ensures compliance with the National Electrical Code, specifically Article 501.15 C6, which deals with conductor fill and conduit seals. When calculating conduit fill, one must consider the cross-sectional area of the conductors and the inside area of the conduit. The NEC provides tables that list the approximate diameter and area of various conductor types. Let's explore how to determine if a 3-inch conduit is suitable for carrying 24 number 12 THHN and 6 number 10 THHN conductors. We will examine two methods, the area method and the diameter method. Firstly, the area method. This method involves calculating the total area occupied by the conductors and comparing it to the available area inside the conduit. From the NEC tables, we find the approximate area of a number 12 THHN conductor and a number 10 THHN conductor. To calculate the conductor fill area, we multiply the area of each conductor size by the number of conductors of the size and then sum the results. We have 24 number 12 THHN conductors, each with an area of 0.130 square inches, resulting in a total area of 3.12 square inches for the number 12 conductors. Similarly, we have 6 number 10 THHN conductors, each with an area of 0.164 square inches, resulting in a total area of 0.984 square inches for the number 10 conductors. Summing these two areas, we get a total conductor fill area of 4.104 square inches. Next, we need to determine the inside area of the 3-inch conduit. According to the NEC, a 3-inch conduit has a nominal area of 7.457 square inches. Article 501.15 C6 specifies that the cross-sectional area of the conductors must not exceed 25% of the conduit's cross-sectional area. Therefore, we need to calculate 25% of the conduit area. 25% of 7.457 square inches is 1.86,875 square inches. Comparing the total conductor fill area of 4.104 square inches with the allowable fill area of 1.86,875 square inches, we see that the conductor fill area significantly exceeds the permitted limit. This indicates that a 3-inch conduit is not suitable based on the area method. Secondly, the diameter method. This method focuses on the total diameter of the conductors and the inside diameter of the conduit. We calculate the total conductor diameter by multiplying the diameter of each conductor size by the number of conductors of that size and then summing the results. The diameter of a number 12 THHN conductor is 0.130 inches and the diameter of a number 10 THHN conductor is 0.164 inches. Therefore, the total conductor diameter is calculated as follows: 24 multiplied by 0.130 plus 6 multiplied by 0.164, which equals 3.264 inches. Now, we need to determine the inside diameter of the 3-inch conduit. The inside diameter for a 3-inch conduit is 3.357 inches, according to Article 501.15 C6. The total conductor diameter should not exceed 90% of the conduit's inside diameter. Calculating the percentage fill, we divide the total conductor diameter by the conduit's inside diameter and multiply by 100. This gives us 3.264 divided by 3.357 multiplied by 100 equals 97%. This result indicates that the total conductor diameter exceeds 90% of the conduit's inside diameter, making the 3-inch conduit unsuitable based on the diameter method as well. In conclusion, both the area method and the diameter method indicate that a 3-inch conduit is not suitable for carrying 24 number 12 THHN and 6 number 10 THHN conductors, according to Article 501.15 C6. The conductor fill area exceeds 25% of the conduit area, and the total conductor diameter exceeds 90% of the conduit's inside diameter. Therefore, to comply with the NEC, a larger conduit size is required. To determine the appropriate conduit size, You would need to perform these calculations with larger conduit sizes until you find one that meets both the area and diameter requirements. Alternatively, reducing the number of conductors could also make a 3-inch conduit suitable, but this would require a redesign of the electrical circuit. For example, if you were to use a 3.5-inch conduit, you would need to recalculate using the new conduit dimensions. A 3.5-inch conduit has a nominal area of 9,641 square inches. 25% of this area is 2,41,025 square inches. Since the total conductor area is 4,104 square inches, a 3.5-inch conduit would still be insufficient based on the area method. Now consider a 4-inch conduit. A 4-inch conduit has a nominal area of 12.72 square inches. 25% of this area is 3.18 square inches. Since 4.104 square inches is still larger than this, a 4-inch conduit is also insufficient. For the diameter method, a 3.5-inch conduit has an inside diameter of 3.826 inches. The conductor diameter is 3.264 inches. Calculating the percentage fill, we get 3.264 divided by 3.826 multiplied by 100, which equals approximately 85.31%. Since this is less than 90%, a 3.5-inch conduit is suitable under the diameter method. However, the area method still shows it to be insufficient. For the 4-inch conduit, its inside diameter is 4.32 inches. The conductor diameter is 3.264 inches. The percentage fill is 3.264 divided by 4.32 multiplied by 100, which equals approximately 75.56%. Therefore, a 4-inch conduit is acceptable under the diameter method. You must use a conduit size that satisfies both methods. Let us consider the implications of using a higher voltage system. For example, if the load could be served by a 480-volt system instead of a 208-volt system, the current would be reduced, and therefore, the number of conductors could be reduced. The number of conductors required is driven by the number of circuits. Each circuit requires a phase conductor, a neutral conductor, and an equipment grounding conductor. If the number of circuits is reduced, then the number of conductors is reduced. Another method could be to use a different type of conductor. While THHN is a common type, other types such as XHHW have different dimensions. You should consult the NEC tables to determine the dimensions of various conductor types. It is important to consult the latest edition of the NEC and local electrical codes to ensure compliance with all applicable regulations. These codes may have specific requirements or restrictions that affect conduit fill calculations. These calculations are essential for safe and efficient electrical installations. Overfilled conduits can lead to overheating of conductors, insulation damage, and potential fire hazards. Understanding the principles and methods outlined here will help you make informed decisions and ensure the integrity of your electrical systems. It is important to consider directing factors as well. If multiple current carrying conductors are installed in a conduit, the ampacity of the conductors must be derated according to NEC Table 310.15. B3. A. This derating reduces the allowable current carrying capacity of the conductors to prevent overheating. The derating factors depend on the number of current carrying conductors in the conduit. If there are 4 to 6 current carrying conductors, the ampacity must be derated to 80%. If there are 7 to 9 current carrying conductors, the ampacity must be derated to 70%. If there are 10 to 20 current carrying conductors, the ampacity must be derated to 50%. If there are 21 to 30 current carrying conductors, the ampacity must be derated to 45%. If there are 31 to 40 current carrying conductors, the ampacity must be derated to 40%. If there are more than 40 current carrying conductors, the ampacity must be derated to 35%. It is important to note that equipment grounding conductors and bonding jumpers are not considered current carrying conductors for derating purposes. Neutral conductors are also not considered current-carrying conductors under certain conditions, such as in a balanced three-phase system. In the case of the 24 number 12 THHN conductors and 6 number 10 THHN conductors, it is important to determine how many of these conductors are current-carrying. If all of them are current-carrying, the Derriting factors will need to be applied. The allowable ampacity of the conductors must be equal to or greater than the non-continuous load plus 125% of the continuous load, according to NEC section 210.19. 8.1. If the ampacity of the conductors is reduced due to Derriting, a larger conductor size may be required to meet the load requirement. Furthermore, the ambient temperature can affect the ampacity of conductors. If the ambient temperature is higher than 30 degrees Celsius, the ampacity of the conductors must be corrected according to NEC table 310.15. 8.2. The correction factors depend on the insulation type and the ambient temperature. If the ambient temperature is higher than the rated temperature of the conductor insulation, the conductor cannot be used in that environment. In addition to conduit fill and ampacity Derriting, it is important to consider voltage drop. Voltage drop occurs when the voltage at the load is less than the voltage at the source due to the impedance of the conductors. Excessive voltage drop can cause equipment to malfunction or operate inefficiently. The NEC recommends limiting voltage drop to 3% for branch circuits and 5% for feeders. To reduce voltage drop, larger conductor sizes can be used or the circuit length can be reduced. The voltage drop can be calculated using Ohm's law and the impedance of the conductors. The impedance of the conductors depends on the conductor material, size, and length. Another important consideration is the type of raceway being used. Different types of raceways have different fill requirements. For example, electrical metallic tubing (WAM) has different fill requirements than rigid metal conduit or RMC. The NEC provides tables that specify the allowable fill for different types of raceways. In addition, the number of bends in a conduit run can affect the difficulty of pulling conductors. The NEC limits the number of bends in a conduit run to 360 degrees turtle between pull points. This is to prevent damage to the conductors during installation. Pull boxes or junction boxes may be required to provide access for pull-in conductors in long conduit runs or conduit runs with many bends. The proper installation of conductors and conduits is essential for the safety and reliability of electrical systems. It is important to follow all applicable codes and standards to ensure that the installation is done correctly. Using the correct conduit size, applying the appropriate ampacity Derriting factors, and considering voltage drop are all important aspects of conductor installation. Finally, always remember to energize the circuit before working on any electrical equipment. Use appropriate personal protective equipment, or PPE, such as gloves and safety glasses. If you are not qualified to perform electrical work, hire a licensed electrician. In summary, determining the appropriate conduit size for a given number of conductors involves several steps. Firstly, calculate the total cross-sectional area of the conductor. Secondly, determine the inside area of the conduit. Thirdly, calculate the percentage fill using both the area method and the diameter method. If the percentage fill exceeds the limits specified in the NEC, a larger conduit size is required. In addition, remember to consider ampacity Derriting, voltage drop, and the type of raceway being used. Following these guidelines will help ensure a safe and compliant electrical installation.